Hey, I have a fever.
I don't feel so good either.
This is not just 1 hour delivery. This is fast relief for those who can't take a time out. Walgreens.
Something amazing is happening here. In a world of data, people are accessing critical information quickly and securely. That's because CDW architects are building infrastructures with unified data storage from NetApp. With the flexibility to run workloads across any environment, providers experience less downtime, giving them more time with patients. Make amazing happen. NetApp and CDW.
This is not just delivery. This is knowing even superheroes can use a sidekick. Walgreens.
Now Taxes is getting the TurboTax app and filing your taxes yourself 100% free if you didn't file with us last year. Pay $0 when you file by 2/18. All tax forms, all 100% free. Now this is taxes. File free in the app by 2/18. When you switch to TurboTax, do it yourself.
HBCU sports fans, get ready to go big. HBCU Plus is making a big move to the UEN app.
It is a wonderful start to this one.
All of your favorite HBCU games are now broadcasting live on the UEN app. But now you get even more with G League basketball, NAIA, and Miami-Dade High School sports.
Do you believe it?
It's time for you to go big. Download the UEN app to get in on all the HBCU sports action and so much more right now.
The last week on the road and then till today?
Yeah, you know, the last week was a little bit rough. I think we just those days of travel, getting out there and laying around all day and, you know, watching, you know, Instagram and Twitter or whatever it's called now, X. And I feel like our team just was out of sync. Our agendas was a little different. I think we were all chasing personal goals at that point. And so, we start the game off like that with our personal desires, and then we try to kind of combine at the end and go on a run, and it's really too late. Came down to a couple defensive stops versus Jackson State, and we didn't get those. I mean, we just closed out toes to toes. We opened up, trying to get blocks, trying to get tips, trying to get, you know, hero plays instead of playing solid, and those possessions really hurt us down the stretch, and people threw the free throw line and fouled, and I think the game was called really well both ways. Just think they had tougher finishers. So it may seem like we were shooting more free throws and we ended up shooting 30, but it was because we missed a shot. So we shot 2. And they shot less because they were and ones for them. And so they were really tapping away at that lead very quickly. But I feel like the game was called fair. We just on the road, we didn't finish, and we had a lead, and we needed to sub, and in the process of subbing, you know, we just kind of got to a place where we couldn't sustain the run. So we really kind of, this week we got to a place where we understand this is our consistency. This is what we're going with. These are the people who've earned it, and we're going to stick these roles out. We're not going to go into games trying new things, not buying in. Like, we're going to be here and what's solid. And, I mean, this week, I mean, it's probably one of the best weeks for us team chemistry we've had with just talking and communicating. It's going to be so frustrating when we get out there tomorrow and we don't showcase this, because we've been great with figuring it out. You know, we've really just shelled things so much, you know, throughout the year. You're so specific with scouting and this playing. We just really shelled it and just let them play out of it and figure it out and talk. You don't know what's coming. And, you know, figure it out, like, and communicate through it. And, I mean, we had no hiccups. Like, we're talking at an elite level. We're communicating. We're sharing. We're helping each other out. We're talking better. We're not pointing fingers. And so hopefully that carries over.
Do you like that mindset headed into not just the season finale, but going into the tournament time?
Yeah, for sure. I think the one thing for coaches, like I think here, I'm a person, we have a huge rope. Like I give a huge rope. I'm all the way to the end, exploring, trying to pull and figure out and grow kids and grow people. And when you're trying to be a part of this team and you're not being selfish and you're not bought into like your own ego, it really, really works. If it does, if you do have those, it's friction, because you see light and it's like, well, I'm going to grab to go. All of those stories where, they're in the den, the thieves den and all the ghosts and there's like, don't grab to go, don't touch, don't be greedy, take what you can and get out of there. When we're playing like that, we're successful. We're not trying to grab all to go and we're not trying to be greedy, and we're trying to play as a team and a unit. And we're locked into that space. I think it's really hard to guard us. When we start feeling like, oh, I'm supposed to be scoring, it's an air ball, I look bad. Or, oh, I missed that rotation, I'm going to foul. Oh, it wasn't me. I'm like, great leaders want it to be them. Like, I want it to be my mistake because I know I can fix it, And I told my team going into this, it's like, I won't fail you. So it's okay if it's my mistake. I'll take the blame on it. I will not fail you. I just need you guys to comply and to fight. And we just left out of practice with that mentality, and they were 100% there right now. So I'm excited about what we're going to do.
What's the health of your team at this?
We're not really healthy. Obviously, my point guard is still, out with concussion protocol. I don't know. I mean, it's been 4 weeks now, so we're still dealing with that. So I don't know where we're going to be at, but I do think that, next person up mentality. The kids have found their role. I guess, obviously, the couple of games that we played with them, it's been 4 weeks now. So it's like I was half a season at this point, half a conference season. So we're learning to adjust and play through it. Would you love to have her? Yes, but, I mean, in 4 weeks, if she come back at this point, when she comes back for 1 week, what do you really have? So I do think that the team has rallied around that. And that concept, and they're playing really hard. We have some people who are sick and out. I don't know what their status is because I haven't really heard from them. But other than that, I mean, I think we're rocking and rolling. I mean, I think that the bug is out here for everybody right now. I mean, I feel like I'm, every now and then, I'm looking at people and they're sneezing. So there's going to be stuff, but it's stuff with everybody, What I care about right now is the core that I have. Not physical health, but mental health. Where they are, where they're spiritually, where they're mentally. Because if we have a good core and they can keep them there, which we do right now, we're going to be really successful. And so that's more of my focus right now, and keeping those kids happy and enjoying this. Because I think so often we get in this space where we're uptight and we're not playing our best because it's like, oh, I can't lose it. And it's like, no, we've been down before. We've been on the ropes before. Like, you're enough. You are enough. This is the best experience for this. It's written for us. Go after it and get after it. Like, you're prepared for this. Everything, the ups and downs of this season has prepared for us. And you can't say that there's a team that's been in situation highs and lows that is more prepared than us. Blowouts, close games, late second, down to the minute, walking, taking it, snatching it from somebody, walking down a 15-point lead. Like, we've done it all. I'm excited, and I just reminded them to be fresh and free and enjoy this moment. Like, we weren't here 2 years ago. Right. This is our first time. So, like, enjoy this space. Like, you have done some historic things this year. You do get to be proud of that. It doesn't mean we're not going to work hard, but we do get to celebrate it.
How much did not having a game yesterday help with postseason preparation?
I think it was excellent in recovery and rest. As we get down the stretch and you're depending on a lot of minutes on some of these kids. We had a couple kids who played 40 minutes both games, 38, 37, 40. So being able to rest and recover when you are talking about SWAC conference championships where it's back-to-back days, and you're playing within literally 24 hours of each game. It's cool that we get this bye coming in to the tournament and other teams don't. So we have to take advantage of that for sure.
Mr. Holloway?
Yeah, hi, Coach. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm with the SWAC Network. Just a quick question for you. In regards to, finishing out the season basically on the road, almost a month.
Yeah.
The big thing that I know is that it's been the first quarters for your team so far. It's been kind of a low point for you. You averaged roughly 15% shooting wise.
Yeah.
How big is that going to be for you? To have a good start on a road against a rival team in Prairie View, and they're trying to get back off the schneid after a couple weeks, in the loss column at home. I'll see that for them.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge factor that we're trying. We spent a lot of time shooting this week. We spent a lot of time getting back to our shot fatigue. Is something that kind of, I feel like, honestly, this is probably the least amount I've skill trained in a year as a head coach, even as an assistant, because we were shooting so well early on. You just kind of bypass it. And so I think I got back to what I know wins, and the hard work and the labs and consistency and the things that create toughness. And we spent a lot of time doing that this week, and so hopefully that showcases when we step on the court again. But you're correct. We are addressing our efficiencies and the lows that it takes and how long it's taking us to get going. That keeps teams in the game. And so we talked about like the possession awareness. I guess we'll generate a lot of shots, but there's some shots that we have to have. And so we're trying to build consistency with that too. So hopefully that showcases. We shot a lot this weekend. Hopefully everybody's gotten back into their shot fatigue, because it's different, right? You start feeling wear and tear on your body. You pulling a little to the left, you pulling to the right. You've got to figure out what it takes now. The way you made your shot early on in the season, it may not be the same towards the end. You may have to give a little something here, stick your release, bend your knees, hold your stableness, contract your core. Like, there's a lot that goes into your shot that we don't practice on towards the end of the year because we just get kind of confident in it. But again, I always say basketball is a simple game of geometry and habits. Like, you have to remember what you do. And so hopefully with our shot fatigue, we really kind of got back into that space, and we're fixing that moving forward.
From now on, it's all about us. Starting a family, buying a car, our first home.
They told you to open an account, then turned you away. They said, come back when you're ready. You said, we're ready now.
I know we're going to make it.
Hope makes it happen. Thousands of your neighbors, many who never had a bank account before, improved their lives with Hope Credit Union. You can too. Brighter futures begin with Hope.
Something amazing is happening here. The next era of AI has arrived. CDW data engineers are helping organizations harness the power of AI with Intel Core Ultra processors. The power to run workloads faster means greater performance, giving your team a better shot at success. Make amazing happen. CDW.
Happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday.
I got you something.
We said no gift. We had to get you something.
Thank you, honey.
I got you this.
Did you do this yourself?
Yeah, I had a great teacher.
Happy birthday.
I love you.
I love you too.
Love you. Thank you.
This is from me to you.
I am genius.
Prairie View that's been kind of in the lower third on their side shooting the basketball. So how big would it be for you defensively, being one of the better teams in the SWAC from a defense standpoint, to really continue to make them struggle more offensively, because they average almost below 60 points per game coming down the stretch, and they're trying to find their way to make into the top 10 for Atlanta.
Yeah, Prairie View is one of those like bubble teams where it's, their record may reflect it, but it was very similar to who we were last year. But they're still in the game. Extremely competitive, highly talented roster. it could go either way for them. So I think I lost them on the Zoom. It could go either way for them. So I think that's the important thing, is just kind of figuring out for sure, like, can we stop them? Because they're so similar to what everybody else does in the SWAC. They play exactly the same way, and so they can get hot or cold. I just think the other teams have been a little bit more consistent with the point guard space spot, and that helps them get going. But I think they demand so much of their point guard, it's really hard for them to get in a natural flow, and they kind of burn out. So being able to stop them early and adjust, regardless if you're getting stops, you have to score to beat Prairie View. Yeah. So this is going to be good for us offensively and defensively, because Coach Pugh, 20 years to the date, I was actually playing against her when I won my SWAC championship versus her. So, like, I think she's just legendary, and she knows how to adjust late in the stretch. Yeah.
Coach, you talked about letting young ladies be a little bit more free, the communication, but did you have to have some tough conversations getting to this point?
Oh, extremely. There's gloves that you have to have around the perimeter, because when you open it up, you never know what you can get, and that's why you have to have a little bit of wisdom from God and some common sense and some knowledge and some patience, because you do want to get to the core of it and you want it to be authentic, but when you open it up, a lot can come out. And a lot of the kids that we get on this level now are basically people who didn't make it in other places. They're transferring here. So towards the end of the season, those same family members, those same friends, those same things that cause friction in other places, those same intrusive thoughts that sit with them, they show their face again. They don't hide. They don't say, oh, we messed it up one time, we're not going to come back. They come and they implode themselves again. And so you have to learn how to manage that while letting them grow and giving room to, like, not suffocate the potential that's in them, but letting out some of that steam. And it's hard. And it's a space of God, because it's not me. I can't orchestrate that, perfectly. I'm just human, but trying our best. So we've definitely had tough conversations. We definitely have very hard talks, but everybody that know me, I'm French Jean, I'm Senna. We gonna deal with it right away. We're gonna, I'm not combative, but I am confrontational. So we address it, we handle it, and we try to build from there. Because the point is, it's okay to have conflict. If everybody's on the same mission, ultimately, regardless of the conflict, are we trying to win? When your conflict is just like a relationship, when your point and your ego matters more than the healthiness of the relationship, then that's when we need to go to a different way. If whatever you got going on is more important than the growth of the team, well, then that's when we've got to move past you. And
so I guess need to ask this: who are you going to rely on in those tough times? Because season finale, when you get to the tournament, is one and done if you don't continue on. Which one of your players or multiple players are you going to really rely on their leadership to help get through those difficult times? Because adversity will be there.
I think the difference for us is that the starters are the leaders of that game. Like the whole starting five, because how they start is a detriment to how we play. So if you make it, and it may be different because it may require a difference based on the lineup, because all of the teams in the SWAC, they don't have traditional lineups, right? They don't play a traditional style of basketball, right? And we make do and we make shift. So I think it's more or less whoever the starting five is have to captain that day. But a lot of the off the court stuff, I'll be very honest with you, I haven't had to fix because Coach Jay technically takes care of that for us, and just having the Holy Spirit inside of her and a gift to go to the players and recognize when something's off. And like, some man, she'll be like, Coach, you might need to check on so, you know what I mean? And so we've kind of played tag team, Miss Reed as well. Like, we've just kind of figured out throughout the course, because they need to have those moments. They need to be free to have them, but we need to make sure that we're keeping them in a safe space. You know what I'm saying? So, it's been good for me because I got to coach this year. I didn't have to be mom, counselor, coach, skill developer, and everything else. And so when they got to the game, my voice wasn't extenuated. Like, it wasn't dragged out. They weren't tired of hearing my voice. I wasn't being undermined. We really had a staff this year that bought into what we were doing, so it made everything else, you know, and as we talked and as we communicated, we were always on the same page. Like, we always viewed things the same way. So it's sincerely helped. And I'm saying that, but y'all leave my staff alone because it took me a long time to get it off this way. No, I wish them well in any success. But truly, you know, I think people make the mistake all the time of recruiting, you know, the players because they think the players are it. And sometimes you need to figure out what caused it. It's something on the staff that created the change. And so I definitely think I have a staff full of young people who are going to be leaders, professionals, head coaches, and anything. And this is like, I mean, again, I have coaches who are 2 grad assistants, 1 undergraduate, and 1 assistant coach, and doing phenomenal things across the conference with veterans. I mean, going against veterans, legends that in their own right will have banners up in the SWAC and have held their own. And so extremely proud of that. And I think that I can't not mention that as a huge part. And the players, you know, nowadays, these kids is adults. You can't fluff them. You better know what you're talking about. You know, if you don't know, they'll call you out right away. You can't hide. You can't just over talk them. You know, just scream back. That don't work no more. Like, you got to know what you're talking about. And so they do. And so extremely proud of being in this space. If I had to stop and everything ended right now, I would say my staff is the real MVP.
Mr. Holloway, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, so I guess kind of piggyback, I kind of came back in.
You're having a great t-shirt day too.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Coming into the season, I'm not sure it was already asked, but you were picked to finish 9th. And you're tied for 2nd. What has been, I'm sure it always is a team sport, and there's a lot of, you know, good things that happened for you this year that has come into fruition as a coach. What has been the really good bright spot for you that you have seen come to flourish in these 3 years, you know, as you were saying, to basically bring your system that's now being fulfilled to a degree in your success in year 3 at TSU at this current point in time?
I mean, I think it's the mentality, right? The culture, you know, that's important. Like, I mean, you know, when I came here, we probably were a semester away from not being able to compete in the postseason because our APR was like not really, you know, and we just last year campaigned for 1,000 points. And I think just the mentality of, even though it's hard, like, excellence is what Coach Skeete, excellence is what TSU, excellence is what women's basketball stands for. And yeah, I get a lot of flack across campus. She's rough, she's mean, she's what, but like, they know that there's a standard. So eventually, like, it keeps their crowns on. Like, it teaches them to not walk in a room and just be second best and be okay with it. Like, it's controlling the mentality that they won't be average forever. You know what I mean? Like, it's really, and I say some of the greatest players, like Michael Jordan, will never be fat. He just won't. And that's no disrespect. Just because there's a mentality inside of him that he doesn't need the camera to push. And if you could trigger that in anybody, in anything, that's what you want. Because if you could live a life of greatness, so much more comes out of that. You know what I mean? So much more of a legacy. And so that's something that I kind of push to. I'm very proud of, like, these kids, whether they fulfill the standard or not, whether we fail in the game or not, like, they could talk basketball. They can run it, they can teach you, they can give you insight, like, they understand. They know how to stand in front and speak. If it came down to explaining something, they can, they articulate it, they're bold, they don't run. If you're around me more than 1 or 2 years, like, shrinking is not an option. So I'm grateful for that opportunity. I know those things don't matter much more with NIL deals and all of that, but there's still a few of us who still care about the presentation of after. For the next 40 years, they'll be able to rely on something, whether it's a scripture or a sprint to get back in shape or a teaching moment. You know, they'll have something, they'll have tools to be successful. And I think it's magnificent to be able to say you can do that and win.
I appreciate that answer. You mentioned in your previous question you were asked about coaching legends, and you're going up against Coach Pugh, who this is now her 25th year in the SWAC consistently, consecutively. What does it mean as a head coach, and as a woman head coach that has been successful at this level for a long time, to go up against her? You know, what does that mean to you as a head coach for yourself?
You know, when I think of Coach Pugh, I obviously think of my coach, Coach Walker, you know, so that's, and just her longevity and how she was able, because she was up and coming, you know, when I was coming out, you know, and like I told them earlier, 20 years today, or not today specifically, but 20 years ago, you know, I was actually, you know, playing the game that took her the back-to-back championship away, and she ended up winning after the next year after. And so, you know, it does feel a lot like just the growth of knowledge and wisdom to even say that I have grown to a space that can stand even close to the sidelines or the clipboards of people like Coach Pugh is, I mean, I you know, my team may fight harder, but, you know, the knowledge and the wisdom that lady has seen and information, you know, it would take years to really grasp. But, you know, to be able to test my knowledge against hers and scheme and stuff, it's a great experience for me every time, you know, and I don't take it lightly. You know, I actually came to HBCU because, you know, Coach Walker was a black woman, an African-American woman, and she was like, yeah, you can come. And it was my first time really wanting to be coached as a head coach. And so I turned down where I was going to come have that experience. And so I'm definitely grateful for it. And it's great to see women continue to want to lead people who look like us.
So I trust everyone's read the prospectus. Lance, why don't you take us through it?
Let's get into the prospectus.
Okay.
Now Taxes is getting the TurboTax app and filing your taxes yourself 100% free if you didn't file with us last year. Pay $0 when you file by 2/18. All tax forms, all 100% free. Now this is taxes. File free in the app by 2/18 when you switch to TurboTax. Do it yourself.
To the inconsiderate monster who has been stealing my pudding, I hope your conscience eats at you as you have eaten my pudding. Bring my pudding back. I wish you the worst, Dale.
Beautiful words. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Now Taxes is getting the TurboTax app and filing your taxes yourself 100% free if you didn't file with us last year. Now this is Taxes. File free in the app by 2/18 when you switch to TurboTax. Do it yourself.
Talk about, you know, how a historic season that you've had, something that a start we haven't seen since the 80s.
Yeah.
And you being a part of that, you heading that, and going to your first, you know, possible NCAA tournament. Let's talk about all that history mean to you.
You know, like, it's a great question because everything has been so intense since I've been here. I probably haven't had a chance to sit back and reflect and feel like things were going good because it's always been the grind. But, you know, it is great. I know, you know, I always say, Naomi has a song, the story I'll tell. Whatever story that is finished, I gave it everything. I gave it all I had, and so if that leads to banners and plaques on the walls, and that's the point. I love that. I love being able to etch a place in history. But it really was just, I heard some of the law of appointed time. It's like it was just the timing of these kids wanting to be here too. This was just felt like it was our time, and I was just going through this space of not wanting to fail them because they really didn't want to win. And when you have kids who either really want to be pros or really want to be champions, or like as a coach, your job is not to fail them, because the heart is the thing that you can't coach, right? Like they have to, because they're playing the game. You can have the perfect defense, you can have the perfect drills, but like they have to have the heart. It's nothing that you can do to establish that heart. And so when you finally have that as a component, you don't want to let the players down. So it's been great to be a part of this, for sure.
Coach, a few weeks ago, Coach Tamika Reed told me she believes you have prepared for this moment.
Wow.
Think about that. How do you respond to that?
Again, Coach Reed could be young. She may not be in the legendary status as, Coach Pugh, but such an influential person at this stage in our careers, and what she's done here in the SWAC, for years, and what she's built at Jackson State. I mean, that's remarkable. For her to even mention that, I think we're a lot away from that. But, having Tamika Reed and grateful, like I didn't come into the league this year, right? Because a lot of people wouldn't understand that, like having to prepare against the Jackson State like that, who had pros who were going and playing at elite level, it did prepare me. It did prepare me, and so you're always grateful for that journey. Tamika Reed, who faced the LSU and took them right down to the wire, which inspired me to want to come back, because I was at A&M at that point, and I remember watching that game, and I remember saying, yeah, I want to do that. Like that, we can win that. Like, let me come up with a scheme of like what we need to run at the end of the game for that, And so that is remarkable to say, because she will be a legend when it's all said and done too. And so just because she's meant so much to women's basketball and the SWAC and getting it to the place that it is, that is huge accolades coming from her, and very much appreciated. I honestly, I stand in a space of gratefulness for the work that she's done to help me prepare for that.
Isn't it kind of ironic that Women's History Month is this month, and women's basketball, and how does that kind of add to the fuel to the fire of women? The Women's Month is a lot of basketball, a lot of a lot of it.
Well, I always said from the beginning of this year, I felt like we were birthing something, and it felt like labor pains. It felt like we were getting there, and I don't know what the end's going to be, but it felt like something was coming, and I knew we'd have something special. And again, you can't say it's, I knew it was going to be this special, because that would be cap, right? But I knew we were birthing something. You could feel that the Lord was preparing us for something. And the kids were buying it, and they were doing the work, and some things are orchestrated that when it's appointed time, it just flows into everything that makes sense, and it's really hard for you. You couldn't have doctored this up yourself. But if you look across, you got Dawn Staley, you got your Kim Mulkey. Like, women are doing phenomenal things in this country, especially when it comes to women's basketball. And so it's so fun to be a part of something, or a legacy, or a riffle, a feather in time, or whatever it is that could get us to make something historic. And like, think about how great that is. Like, I just seen Norfolk State. They went undefeated in their conference, and what a history and a banner that they'll be able to put up in that space, and they're at HBCU, and the kids on that team, they get to speak of that legacy and be a part of that for life. It's like, man, these are areas that a few years from now were lost in the sauce. Like, nobody really knew about it. They didn't talk about what's going on in the MEAC. They didn't talk about the CIAAs. They weren't talking about the SWAC, and now they are. And so it's a fun time, and you're grateful that these kids get to feel like, and I think there's a BCIC tournament coming up now with the, black schools, and it's going to be like, there's a space for these kids to keep their crowns on, like we're fighting for something. And I think ultimately that's the point, the mission, that they don't feel like they're just, not being heard of and their stuff is being lost, but they get to be front center and people care and they pay attention and they're fighting for something still. It's amazing.
Yeah, speaking on that, because Travis Williams, the founder of the HBC All-Star Game, this year will include the women.
Yes, heard
in
about
San
that.
Antonio.
Yeah.
That's significant as well.
Yes, it is. It is. I mean, it's fun to just see how much it's mattered that these kids get to see what we're doing has a point. You know, when I first got here, this place kind of felt like everybody was trying to figure out what's next, and basketball was the last thing on their mind. You know, and so because basketball was the last thing on their mind, it was hard to get a rally cry of them to fight and work hard because they were seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and it didn't have nothing to do with dribbling, you know, and so it's been really fun to see all of these kind of things pop up in this life, you know, so it gives kids a reason and a motivation. The fans came out, you know, I say it every time, I love TSU, like, they helped us man Thursday nights. Like the students, the city, like they came out for us. Like they showed up and then they retweeted everything we were doing too. So they made sure they continued to show the support. And we really appreciate that because we didn't know how. And I know there's some schools in the SWAC that probably hated Thursday, you know, and Friday and the Saturday split with the men on Monday. But for us, I mean, we had a time. We had a time. And so it's really great to be in that space where, you know, your kids feel valued and they feel like they're showing up for people who want to see them and the city loves them and stuff like it. It's been a phenomenal year, and we can't take credit for all of that, but you know, our guest coaches would come out and bring their church members and bring, I mean, you know, our president came and sit on the wood and sit in the courtside seat, but to sit on the bench with the team and to hoorah with them in the locker room, you know, and to take the time out and to be in the huddles and clapping the girls up and high-fiving them before warm-ups. Like, TSU is just a special place because where does that happen at, right? It happens here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, any last questions, Mr. Holloway? We got last one?
I'm good.
Okay. Last one.
What about Sylvester this past?
You know, again, Coach Jay, you know, she actually had organized, he was supposed to come and be a guest coach for us. He was actually supposed to, and unfortunately, he had to cancel his plans. Which game was that?
It was one where the president came.
Yeah, the president. So we were going to have the president here and Sylvester Turner. He ended up canceling his plans, and he couldn't make it. He had some things come up, and how gut-wrenching is that, you know, because you don't really get to say goodbyes. But, you know, him replacing Sheila and now, you know, having to figure out, like, and just having two solid people for years that you knew were community-based and community-based for real. It's a huge loss, and I don't think that we really, as a community of Houstonians, understand how much of an impact and fight that we had up on that hill. Sure. And I just pray, and that we all need to be praying that whoever is replacing that spot has that same vigor for us. Rest in peace.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good luck, Coach.
Thank you.
Outstanding athletes who are here, and quite frankly, they deserve the opportunity to shine in the spotlight, and this puts them in the spotlight at this particular time. So I'm excited and I'm thrilled. And then let me just, on a personal note, let me take a great deal of pride in it, being the African American mayor right now. Yes. I mean, this is. So for me, and especially in my final year, this is just like the icing on the cake.
Hey, I have a fever.
I don't feel so good either.
This is not just 1 hour delivery. This is fast relief for those who can't take a time out. Walgreens.
Something amazing is happening here. In a world of data, people are accessing critical information quickly and securely. That's because CDW architects are building infrastructures with unified data storage from NetApp. With the flexibility to run workloads across any environment, providers experience less downtime, giving them more time with patience. Make amazing happen. NetApp and CDW.
This is not just delivery. This is knowing even superheroes can use a sidekick. Walgreens.
Now Taxes is getting the TurboTax app and filing your taxes yourself 100% free if you didn't file with us last year. Pay $0 when you file by 2/18. All tax forms, all 100% free. Now this is Taxes. File free in the app by 2/18. When you switch to TurboTax, do it yourself.
HBCU sports fans, get ready to go big. HBCU Plus is making a big move to the UEN app.
It is a wonderful start to this one.
All of your favorite HBCU games are now broadcasting live on the UEN app. But now you get even more with G League basketball, NAIA, and Miami-Dade high school sports.
Do you believe it?
It's time for you to go big. Download the UEN app to get in on all the HBCU sports action and so much more right now.
We're able to get a split on last week. Played a very tough Jackson State team who's sitting there in the number 2 slot right now, playing extremely well at home. And we were fortunate, I guess, to get a split after having a setback there at Jackson State against an Alcorn team who's always extremely tough at home, and a team that plays hard, very aggressive, making plays. We thought our guys did a tremendous job of bouncing back after the setback there on Saturday to get a victory on Monday, leading into our final game of the season in terms of regular season against a Prairie View basketball team.
Coach, talk about the health of your team at this time.
I tell you, it's funny, and it's happened over the last couple of 2 or 3 years. We're finally getting back healthy. All of the guys are able to attend practice now and be a part of it. And even the ones who have had little setbacks and injury-wise, it's nothing that's going to be debilitating enough to keep them off the floor. So we've got some nicks and bruises, but for the most part, we're where we need to be in terms of our numbers and having guys out there on the floor. And it's exciting at the end of the day for us, and it's something we've really been looking forward to. And so the practices in the latter part of the games, it's been good for us.
You guys were pretty aggressive, especially the second half against Alcorn. And I noticed how you guys are doing more penetrations. Talk about that. Is that due to you guys regaining the health? Those guys are better inside, they have more flexibility?
Well, when we're playing through a series of games without a couple of our players, Jalen Weisinger and Zaire, 2 of the guys that a couple of primary ball handlers, sometime in our offense, they are a little bit different. They create a little bit different offense and style of play sometime than Kavion does at the end of the day. So we can play various ways and off pick and rolls and the way that we play our up-tempo style. And especially if we get steals, long rebounds, we get out on breaks. We have guys that like to get it to the rim, make plays, but it's plus for us because we get paint touches. When that happens, some good things always generally happen for you. So we are able to get a little bit of different offense at times, depending on who has the possession of the ball in their hand and their style of play, and whether they're jump shooters or guys that can get downhill and make plays from the paint, be it for themselves or create opportunities for others.
This is a rivalry game against Prairie View coming on Saturday, and sometimes you can throw all the records out the window. You saw what happened to Alabama A&M just yesterday with Grambling, the women's side. So it doesn't matter what your record is. if somebody really wants to be able to win, they can win. How will you guys prepare against a letdown going into this season finale?
Yeah, it's no such thing. I think when and I'm not one of those guys that's always been big on arrival and really what that means, because it's basketball games. You got to prepare and you got to compete. When you think about this league and your travel partners, you do have what I think are true rivals at the end of the day, and there's no such thing as a letdown or letting your guard down when you play in these rival games, because of the fact that you understand the intensity going in of the game. You can throw out the records of each opponent. For us, and I tell you, when I say true rival, it's when your fan base have access to the tickets and they're going to show up and be a part of it, and your dancers, your cheerleaders, or your band. And then the same thing applies when their team comes here. You know, their cheerleaders and dancers, their fans, their fan base actually have an opportunity to show up. So when there are things going on in the game, you have both teams being really cheered for, and it energizes both teams. So at the end of the day, that's what makes the beauty of the rival, and it's so exciting. And it's one, obviously, it's always a tough game, but I think our fan bases certainly look forward to it. And at the end of the day, I think our players certainly look forward to the challenge and participating in the game as well.
Yeah, definitely. Talking about the Panthers, they've had not the best season under Coach Smith, and he's done a tremendous job ever since being there at PV. You've heard some of the negativity from fan bases calling for him to be removed. What do you say to fans not understanding the game and understanding how difficult it is to be able to build a winning team?
Well, just so you know, I haven't heard any of that. Nobody talks to me about the other coaches at the end of the day of the league. But I will say this: I know what Coach Smith has been able to do with the program. I know he won back-to-back championships and has been extremely competitive. When you take and look at his team now, unfortunately, they've had some setbacks as the season has progressed. But at the end of the day, you still see his team competing at a high level, still playing hard, and that's a great sign, I think, of a coach who's done a tremendous job and continue to do a great job. When you have the setbacks in terms of his number one player leading scorer at the in mid-season get injured, it's very difficult to overcome those type things and trying to put it back together, especially in this league. I think this league is as fine and as tough as it's been since I've been here, from top to bottom, in terms of the challenge, the talent level of the coaches that are in the league. And when you have players out, and you can look at our record, we've had setbacks, and unfortunately, because of the fact that we didn't have players readily available to us, and when you lose your leading scorer and the guy was making the impact that he was making on his team, it's very difficult. But Coach Smith is a tremendous coach, does a tremendous job in terms of recruiting, coaching his team, and I know promoting his program at the end of the day, and I know he's one of the top coaches in our league.
Oh, yeah, of course. Tournament time, it's here. That's your favorite time. The Tigers usually do very well through the tournament. Now you're going to Atlanta, a little different than Birmingham. Talk about how you guys have prepared for that trip to ATL.
We're really excited about the new venue that we'll be playing at, and the setup with the hotels and the proximity right there at the airport for our fan bases, and really not needing a car, can walk out of the hotel to the convention center and the arena where the games are going to be played. Yeah, absolutely. It's where their WNBA franchise play their games, so it's really nice at the end of the day. And you certainly have to say kudos to our SWAC office and Dr. McClellan in terms of what he does and being innovative and continue to drive the excitement in our league. I think fan base going to have an opportunity to show up, so it's going to be new for us, and it's something we're looking forward to at the end of the day. But all the teams that are going to have an opportunity to be present at the venue, all 10, will be excited, because this is an exciting time of the year. It's March Madness, and whoever should be fortunate enough at the end of the day to cut down those nets we'll have an opportunity to represent our conference in the NCAA tournament, and that's something that everybody cherishes when you start practicing full scale and those things happen. You start your season in November, you're really preparing for this time of year, and you hopefully that your team energy and everything is channeled in the right direction and that you're healthy going into this time. So some great things can happen for you, that hopefully you're a great story at the end of the day.
Yeah. We talked about health. We talked about going to Atlanta. When it comes to your guys being on the spotlight, ready for this big moment, which one of those guys are you going to lean heavily on, especially as far as a leadership standpoint?
Well, you know, with our team, it's one of the things that you build on all year, and the way that you prepare your basketball team. You try not to get out of the element of where you were. You don't want to change up a whole lot of things, and we're hopeful the way that we've been coaching all year and preparing and attacking and putting the confidence in everybody on our basketball team that it's a team game at the end of the day. And you just got to understand that there on any given night we have guys that can come up and have big numbers and play well for us, and I think that's the beauty of our team, the way that we play. And it won't only be one person. The guy with the ball in the hand for us is the initiator. He doesn't have to be the guy that takes shots. Everything initiates with him, and then he's got to make the right play at the end of the day. And if that's plus one, somebody else scoring at the end of the day, that's the beauty of it. And one of the things we like to hang our hat on, we've been the top defensive team in the league all year long. And we just feel like if we can continue to defend and we can continue sharing the ball and guys keep rising to the occasion, in a lot of different games we've had different scores on our team, and I think that's a good sign of a good team.
Hey, I have a fever.
I don't feel so good either.
This is not just 1 hour delivery. This is fast relief for those who can't take a time out. Walgreens.
Something amazing is happening here. In a world of data, people are accessing critical information quickly and securely. That's because CDW architects are building infrastructures with unified data storage from NetApp. With the flexibility to run workloads across any environment, providers experience less downtime, giving them more time with patience. Make amazing happen. NetApp and CDW.
I'm here with the Hall of Famer, Mr. Warren Moon. Warren, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm in Houston, and we're not Minute Maid anymore. I've got the new name.
Dakin.
Got it. I just found that out about a week ago.
Yeah.
But back in Houston, I got my grandkids and my kids here tonight, so I'm having a great time.
Well, look, it's good to see you as always. Talk about the impact of helping HBCUs, just being a part of this event.
Yeah, what Travis is doing is really great. I think this is the third, fourth year he's done this. This is my second year doing it, and it's a lot of fun. We've got a great crowd out here. We're raising money for the HBCUs. There's a lot of young athletes at HBCUs that go unnoticed because some of the programs don't have the facilities. Right. They don't have the right coaching, all those different things. So they just need funds. They need more financial support, and that's what events like this do. And I'm glad to see that Travis is looking at that and seeing how important it is for all these young kids to get the same opportunity as Division I kids.
Okay, last question. NFL, this year was quite the year for the black quarterback.
Yes.
Jaden Daniels, he made his run, but Jalen Hurts, how proud of you for what he's gone through to get to this point to be now a Super Bowl champion?
You know, I love his perseverance. You know, he's been told every level that he can't play the position at a high level. I was told those same things, and here he is a Super Bowl champ and his second Super Bowl. So there's a local kid from here. I've followed him ever since he went to Alabama. You know, his journey to Oklahoma and then coming into the league, he's gotten better every year he's been in the league. So that shows you he's working at his game. He's got great work ethic. A really hard worker on and off the field, does a great job in the community. So he's just a total package, and I'm so happy for him.
Yeah, and congratulations to you for being a Houston Hall of Famer last season as well.
Thank you very much. That was big time because there's been so many great athletes that have come through this city in all sports. For me to be recognized as one of those was something that was very, very special to me.
Well, you deserve it, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Mr. Howard, how great is it for you to come and support this event for the HBCUs?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. I mean, like I said, it's one of these things where when you can get the opportunity to be able to do good and help, you know, come out and support, like, this is what it's all about, man, being able to give back. So when you can pass it on, pass it forward, you know.
Talk about having more representation, someone like you to be in the MLB.
Oh, I mean, it's huge. It's huge where, you know, when I grew up in St. Louis where, you know, I grew up watching the Cardinals. We had Terry Pendleton, Ozzie Smith, William McGee, Vince Coleman. Man, I think at that time, like, the only white guys were pitchers and Tommy Hurt, you know? So it's one of those things of continuing to get black kids, black faces back into the game and just continuing to add because it's such a rich culture and history of playing the game. It just
to shine in the spotlight, and this puts them in the spotlight at this particular time. So I'm excited and I'm thrilled. And then let me just, on a personal note, let me take a great deal of pride in it. Being the African American mayor right now. Yes. I mean, this is. So for me, and especially in my final year, this is just like the icing on the cake.